Okay, so how many times have you heard this one? Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Oh, countless, right? It's everywhere these days.
Yeah, it's practically a mantra. But what if I told you that this whole follow your passion thing, I don't know, it might actually be kind of a trap.
Oh, a trap. How so?
Well, at least when it comes to building real, lasting wealth.
Interesting. So we're talking about the financial side of doing what you love, not just the personal fulfillment piece.
Exactly. And to dig into that, we're turning to, well, he might be a little controversial, but I think his ideas are always worth a deep dive. Robert Kiyosaki. Specifically his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Ah, Kiyosaki. Love him or strongly disagree with him, he always makes you think.
Right. And one of the things he talks about that really struck me, especially in relation to this whole do what you love idea, is, well, he makes a distinction between doing what you love and investing in what you love.
And that's where things get really interesting because it kind of flips the script on what we're usually told.
Can you unpack that a bit? Because I know a lot of people hearing investing might immediately think stocks, real estate.
Right, and Kiyosaki definitely talks about those things. But it's bigger than that. He has a way of categorizing how people earn money, these 4 quadrants. I don't want to get too bogged down in the jargon, but basically he has E for employees, S for small business owners or self-employed folks, B for those who own bigger businesses, and then I for investors.
Right, and I think the part that gets missed sometimes is how those different quadrants, how they impact your ability to actually build wealth. Like, it's not just about how much money you make, but how that money works for you.
Absolutely. And Kiyosaki's point is that those first 2, the E and S quadrants, where you're directly trading your time for money, that can make it really tough to build lasting wealth, even if you absolutely love the work itself.
Like, even if you're passionate about it, if you're always the one who has to be there, putting in the hours.
You hit the nail on the head. It's like you're on this hamster wheel. You might be running really fast, maybe even enjoying the scenery as you go, but you're still stuck in that cycle.
So why is that? Why are those E and S quadrants so different when it comes to wealth building?
Well, there are a few biggies. Taxes, for one.
Oh, yeah. You hear a lot about how being self-employed can come with a heavier tax burden.
Exactly. And it's not just about making more money. Often E's and S's are taxed on their earnings before they even see that money, which can make a huge difference. But even beyond taxes, it's about leverage, or really the lack thereof.
Leverage meaning?
Meaning, in the E and S quadrants, your income is directly tied to your time. You only have so many hours in a day, right? So there's a limit on how much you can earn because you physically can't do more.
But when you own a larger business or you're investing,
that's when you can start to leverage systems, investments, even other people's time to generate income. And that income, it can grow exponentially in a way that's just not possible when you're directly trading your hours for dollars.
So it's not just about working hard. It's about setting up systems that work for you, even when you're not the one directly doing the work.
Precisely. Think about it. You have a baker. They're passionate about creating these incredible cakes, and they open their own bakery. That's fantastic. But they're still in that S quadrant. They're limited by how many cakes they can bake in a day, how many customers they can serve.
So what could that baker do to, I guess you'd say, shift more towards that investing mindset that Kiyosaki talks about?
Let's say this baker also has a knack for teaching. What if they create an online course teaching their signature cake decorating techniques? Or maybe they write a best-selling cookbook.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
They're leveraging their passion and their expertise to create something that generates income even while they're sleeping, even while they're busy baking those cakes.
That's a fantastic example. It's about creating different income streams that aren't all directly tied to your time.
Now you're getting it. But here's the thing that often throws people off when they first encounter Kiyosaki. He sometimes says things like, and I'm quoting here, passion is greedy.
Oh yeah, that one definitely makes you stop and think, especially in a world that's constantly shouting, follow your passion. What's he getting at with that?
It's definitely a statement that's meant to challenge our assumptions. He's not saying to abandon your passions altogether. It's more about, I think it's about recognizing that sometimes our desire for immediate gratification, that feeling of I need to be doing what I love right now, can actually become a roadblock.
You know, that's fascinating because it's like we get so caught up in needing to love what we do in this moment that we don't necessarily set ourselves up for that long-term financial freedom that would actually allow us to more fully enjoy those passions.
You've got it. And that's where this idea of investing in what you love comes in. It's about recognizing that sometimes you have to play the long game. It's about making choices that might not feel as immediately satisfying, but that ultimately create more options and freedom down the line.
It's like delaying that gratification to build something bigger, right?
Exactly. Let's say, just for example, you are really passionate about, I don't know, sustainable living, right?
Okay, yeah.
Now, that might not immediately translate into a high-paying career path, at least not right away.
Right.
But what if instead of just trying to, I don't know, force that passion into a job right now, what if you invest some time, some resources into really becoming an expert in something related to that, like sustainable building practices or...
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yes.
Or like maybe even investing in companies that are on the forefront of renewable energy, things like that.
There you go. You're aligning your passions with long-term financial growth. So even if it's not something that's paying all the bills right now, you're setting yourself up
For a future where you potentially could be making a living from it, or at least have the financial freedom to pursue those passions more fully.
Now you're getting it. It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. You're planting those seeds, and even if it takes a while for them to grow, eventually you end up with
something that's a lot more sustainable.
Exactly.
You know what I think is so interesting about all of this? And this might seem a little meta, but Kiyosaki himself, his own story seems to be a perfect example of this.
Oh, how so?
Well, did you know that he actually doesn't enjoy writing?
Really?
Yeah, I read an interview where he said he doesn't love the process itself. Which, for a best-selling author,
That's pretty ironic.
right. But here's the thing, and this goes back to what we were saying before. He recognized that writing, even if it wasn't his passion, it was a skill he could leverage.
He turned it into a system.
Exactly, a business. A way to achieve that financial freedom so that he could then turn around and
Invest in the things he actually enjoys.
like real estate, which we know is a big passion of his. It's like he used his writing success as that stepping stone, not the end goal itself.
And that's such a powerful lesson for all of us, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the idea that we have to find that one perfect passion and then just like hustle like crazy to turn it into this profitable business.
When in reality, it can be a lot more, nuanced than that.
Exactly. It might mean starting with something that seems a little less exciting right now, but that gives you the resources, the freedom, the time down the road to really pursue those passions.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. But let's bring this back down to earth for a minute. For someone listening who's maybe feeling a little stuck right now, they're in that cycle of trading their time for money, even if they generally like their work.
Yeah.
What would you say is a good first step towards embracing more of this investing mindset?
Well, I think the first thing is to remember it doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming thing. It's not like adding another item to your to-do list or anything like that. It's more about kind of a mental shift.
Yeah.
So I would say start by asking yourself a few questions. Like, what are you really passionate about, even if it seems totally unrelated to what you're doing for work right now?
Yeah.
And then what skills do you have or could you develop that could somehow connect to those passions, even if it's not a straight line?
Right.
And then a big one, I think, is what does financial freedom actually look like to you? Is it early retirement? Is it being able to fund a passion project? Is it having that safety net so you can take more risks in your career? What does that actually mean to you?
It's almost like taking a step back from just thinking about what kind of work will pay the bills right now, and instead going like, okay, what kind of life do I want to be building in the long term?
Exactly.
And how can my skills and my passions and, maybe even my finances, how can those all work together to support that bigger vision?
You got it. And, I think there's also sometimes this misconception that investing has to be Wall Street and stock options and all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it certainly can be, but it can also be a lot broader than that.
Okay, so
It could be investing in your education, learning a new skill, even just investing the time to connect with people who are doing things that you find really intriguing.
it's almost like, we talk about investing our money, but this is like investing in ourselves, investing in our future.
100%. And I think what I really appreciate about Kiyosaki's perspective is that it's not about finding that one magical passion and then just hustling like crazy to turn it into a business.
Right. It's not that simple.
It's not that simple at all.
Yeah.
It's about taking this more well-rounded view of your life, like all the pieces of you, your passions, your skills, your values, and then going, how can my finances, how can my work support all of that?
Yeah, it's like you're the architect of your own life.
Yeah.
Right? And you're designing it in a way that's not only fulfilling, but also financially sustainable.
Now you're talking. That's exactly it.
This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like we could probably do a whole other deep dive on just this one concept. But to wrap things up today, I want to leave everyone listening with a little bit of a thought experiment.
I love it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so inspired by what we've learned from Kiyosaki today, if you could invest in anything, knowing it would likely lead to that financial freedom down the line, what would it be? And then, even more importantly, maybe what's one small step, no matter how small, that you could take today to start moving in that direction?
I love that because it doesn't have to be this big, grand gesture. It could be picking up a book. It could be having a conversation with someone. It could be just giving yourself permission to dream a little bigger.
You never know where that one step might lead, right?
Never.
Well, this has been an awesome deep dive into this whole idea of investing in what you love. Thank you so much for taking the time to break this down with me.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening out there, thanks for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep investing in yourselves.